Hi, I'm Coach Corey Wayne, and this is my video coaching newsletter. And the topic of today's newsletter is going to be my girlfriend's words no longer match her actions. Obviously, that's not ideal. Well, I've got an email. This particular guy's been following me for 3 years. He said he's read 3% Man around 20 times at this point, and he's also watched 100 plus videos. He says probably way more. So he's been dating this woman for, I guess he's in the fourth month of dating, and for whatever reason, he's known her for like three plus years. And I think she's in her 30s. She owns her own business. She owns several gyms or something along these lines. And so there's some red flags here. Like this particular woman, she cheated on her first husband with her second husband. She also had an affair with some married guy. And on top of that, she's got a bunch of male orbiters that obviously have interest in her. But even though she asked him to be exclusive, she doesn't tell anybody, especially the male orbiters, that she actually has a boyfriend or is in a relationship, even though she's the one that asked for it. So we got the history of cheating in her past. Because if a woman's in love with you and she has integrity, she's going to be proud to show you off. She's going to be proud to let the world know that you are her boyfriend. And so she's got these guys that are hitting on her and in direct ways, and she says, well, they're not coming out and directly asking me out, so it's not professional to tell them I have a boyfriend. But I mean, the reality is, if she's gushing about her boyfriend, she would be talking about him. Oh, my boyfriend this, my boyfriend that, da, 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 da. And that's not happening. And on top of that, he's noticed in the last few weeks that she's getting a little cold and distant. She's kind of been bitchy and grumpy towards him. She's apologized. She's also acknowledged that there's some stuff going on at work, some challenges, and she hasn't been as attentive and hasn't been following through on the things she says she's going to do. She acknowledges the issues, and then she continues doing what she was doing. So something has changed. But the interesting thing is that she says, my relationships never make it past 3 months, which is not a good sign. So he's trying to figure out, is she even worth my time, or should I throw her back to the streets? So with that said, let's go, because he writes a pretty detailed email here. We're going to go through his email. He says, hey, Coach, been following you for 3 years, and I've read the book probably around 20 times at this point, and also have watched 100 plus videos, probably way more. Thank you for everything you do. Your advice has always been proven spot on. Well, as I say all the time, even if you think I'm full of shit, if you apply what's in the book, it'll work for you. You will get better results than typically what you were doing in the past. He says, I'm currently in the fourth month of dating a 10 that I've known for 3 plus years, but man, is this woman complicated. She's made me exercise every skill you teach, but more often than not, she lives in the gray area of your principles. Remember, easygoing, easy to get along with. For instance, she has a bunch of male orbiters as she owns a chain of fitness studios, and most of them are her clients. But she always tells me about it when they're flirting with her. I ask if she tells them that she's in a relationship, which she had asked for at week 7, which lines up with the book. And she says no. No, let me do it in the female voice. And she says, no, because it seems inappropriate and unprofessional since they aren't blatantly asking me out. So that tells me on some level, maybe she's afraid to lose him as a client. Because if they still have hope that they could date her and sleep with her, they'll keep coming in and spending money with her. And if they know she's got a boyfriend, they might dip on her and she'll lose the business. But she also more than likely likes the male attention. So she's not doing anything to say, hey, I'm taken. And so in other words, she's creating the conditions where they can continue to flirt with her. She has an ex in the picture, but she tells me about it every time he reaches out and has also told him about me. She said she doesn't need to cut him out of her life completely because he's barely in it. And to prove it, she volunteered her phone's passcode in case I ever wanted to look for myself. Well, that's nice. But then again, messages can always be deleted. She says she would never cheat, but she cheated on her ex-husband 15 years ago with her second husband. So obviously the guy she cheated with, she eventually married. And she also had an affair with a married man. And all information that she didn't have to share with me, but she wanted to be transparent. So she has a history of cheating and lying and being devious when it suits her. But we're supposed to believe she's totally reformed now. I was letting her do 100% of the texting and calling, but she told me she would like good morning texts every now and then when we aren't together. And we're together 4 to 5 nights a week, and both work from home on Mondays, usually sharing the couch and cuddling when we can. She has told me on multiple occasions that this is the most healthy and fun relationship she's ever had, and that she's never felt this comfortable around anyone before, and values the communication skills that I'm showing her. But as you know, I wouldn't be reaching out if there wasn't an issue. Over the past 3 to 4 weeks, she's been cold and distant, and she's blamed it on her heavy workload with owning gyms. And I can confirm it keeps her busy. When I first noticed the distance, she voluntarily apologized and acknowledged the distance without me bringing it up first, but that work was stressing her out, and that all of this, she was doing the best she could. I replied with, well, since you admit it's a problem, it's up to you to fix it. But if this continues, I'll need to reassess our relationship because I don't put in effort when that effort isn't matched. So for whatever reason, she's not making the effort. There is a lack of an emotionally compelling reason for her to continue making the effort she was making. Now keep in mind, she says she only makes it about 3 months before. So that's her belief. That's her limiting belief. And it's quite possible she sabotages her relationship. So if it's going well, she's probably not used to things going well. And so she literally could be creating problems. But it's also possible he's doing things to cause her to lose attraction, especially if he's complaining about it. He says she agreed and understood and said she wanted to make us work. She's also told me that her relationships typically have a 3-month shelf life, and she can't believe we made it, and that we are a good team, but also that you're too good to me. So when a woman says you're too good to me, that's typically indication is you're a little too soft and nice. You're a little too compliant. And typically guys get down the road, especially if this girl's got her on a pedestal, and his game was tight for about 3 months, 2-3 months. She fell in love, but now she says, you're too good to me. And that's almost like, you know, she says, you're just such a great guy. Any girl would be lucky to have you. But the reality is, hey, you're just kind of nice and soft, and therefore I don't respect you as much. And if we look at her actions are indicative of a woman who is losing respect and attraction for a guy. So when I see little things like that, that tells me for whatever reason, her attraction has dropped. And after having done this for 20 years, tens of thousands of phone sessions and countless emails, it's like you see the same patterns over and over and over again. So I'm able to pick out these little nuggets, if you will. And here's another one. I wish you wouldn't listen so closely to me. He says, because I recall things that she said she wanted in our relationship months ago as to reasons I do things today, aka she's full of BS sometimes. Well, that tells me you're doing things for her and they're not being reciprocated. And it looks like the power is kind of flipped in the relationship. Because whatever you're doing before, she was trying to get your attention and validation, and now she's basically hinting that you're just too she is hinting that you're just too nice to me. So if he's too nice, it's because he's becoming soft and a little squishy. Maybe he's a little dopey because he's like, "Ooh, we have a relationship." A lot of guys start going sideways at this point. They start reverting back to their old beta male behavior. He said, but here we are, 3 weeks after that, and it's actually gotten worse. She went off on me for a dumb reason, which was putting water on her dog's food, which I respectfully told her to never speak to me that way again, to which she apologized and told me she'd be better. She's not doing little things that she used to do. Bringing me coffee, small favors I asked her to do, which she says she will, but doesn't, and never messaging me that she misses me or can't wait to see me like she did nearly every day that we weren't together for the first 3 months. So if you're complaining about that, that's not the way to fix that. You're trying to use logic and reason and tell her, hey, you need to do this, this, and this for me. Instead of looking at the fact that she's not doing it willingly. And if she's not doing it willingly, it's because she ain't feeling the desire or the need to do it. That tells me she knows she's got you. And a lot of guys do that. They get it several months down the road, and as a woman backs off, they don't look at their own behavior. They just start complaining about what she's no longer doing. That's not going to make a woman want to. She will do these out of obligation sometimes, but in this case, nothing's changed. It's got worse. And so he might be turning into a bit of a whinge bag. I don't know, but I'm just looking at what he's doing, what he's saying, what she's doing, what she's saying. And her actions and her words match up with a woman who has lost attraction and respect for her boyfriend. He says, ignoring those good morning texts that she asked me to send, one of which was a happy anniversary text I sent while I was out of town with my boys. So you're continuing to send good morning texts. She's not reciprocating it. Quickest way to get somebody else's attention is to remove yours. And so if she's not valuing those things, then back off a little bit until she complains you're no longer doing those things. But what looks like has happened here is her interest hit, it kind of peaked, started going down, and you probably continued to do more. And so she's starting to feel that you're more into her than she is into you. And as she backs away, instead of you matching and mirroring that, you're complaining about it. And that won't fix the issue. It'll just make her lose more respect and become bitchier and become nastier to you. Because she, again, like I said, just her words, what she said earlier in the email, you're too good to me. In other words, you're too much of a nice guy. You're too soft. I can push you around. I can get you to change your opinions to match mine, etc., etc. If she was worried about losing him, she would do the little things. But she's not worried about losing him. So that tells me she doesn't value him like she did. And based on the evidence that's in his email, the attraction has dropped for whatever reason. Aside from the fact all these other red flags about the cheating and the male orbiters and those things, the fact that a woman like this, typically as their attraction drops, it's like, why, if she's lost attraction and respect for this guy, why would she tell the male orbiters that, oh, I have a boyfriend? Because in her mind, she doesn't think she's single. And this is a pattern that repeats over and over in her relationships. And remember, this guy says she's a 10 out of 10, plus he's known her for 3 years. So I don't know what the context was of their interactions for the previous 3 years. He never said. He says, I'm trying to figure out the relationship between having high standards and valuing myself first, bad grapes, she belongs to the streets, versus taking the lead and being too communicative, opening her up too often about the same things. Well, the idea is that, goes to the video, how to communicate with women effectively. You're not supposed to be a robot about it. And that tells me a little bit about that you're not really able to understand the ebb and flow when she needs to be opened up, and like you're doing it as a technique. You're not doing it to facilitate communication. It's supposed to be natural. Not like, oh, Corey told me to do this in the book. I must do what the video told me. I must open you up. Even though we're talking about the same thing over and over, I got to open her up because the book told me. It just comes off as weird and awkward. And again, you shouldn't be using a technique. You should recognize that she's a little distant and not as communicative. And then that's when you open her up. Hey, honey, you're a little quiet today. What's going on? Hey, you seem a little distant lately. What's going on? Oh, work's this, that. He says, I'm removing my attention to focus on myself 100% to rebuild attraction and get her attention back. So that tells me he noticed that he's been given more than he's getting back. And you want to match and mirror the actions. Because if she backs off and then you continue forward, now you're putting more effort and more energy into it than she is. And then she starts to feel that you're more into her than she's into you. And she's got all this male attention around. She has a history of cheating. Typically, women with this kind of a past are, when they're not happy, they invite the attention from the exes or the male orbiters, and then that's how the affairs happen in her life. So whatever reason, her attraction is dropping. And my suspicion is that you kind of put her on a pedestal. You're like, ooh, I made it 4 months, and nobody makes it 4 months. And you started acting a little dopey. And you didn't recognize that she was not putting in the same effort, and then you kept putting in the same effort. He says, my question is this a bad grape scenario, a loss of attraction? Well, it looks like a loss of attraction. Plus, again, she came right out and told you my relationships never make it past 3 months. So that's a red flag. And she has all these other guys around. And she's not telling anybody about you other than supposedly the ex. So that tells me whatever reason, on some level, she likes the attention from other guys. Maybe she's afraid of losing them as clients if they think they don't have a chance with her. Doesn't matter. Bottom line is she's not proud to tell the whole world that you're her boyfriend. And that's because that's indicative of how she feels about you. And that's, again, all in the numbers, the chapter on attraction level that's in the book. It tells me you're kind of not paying attention. It's like you think you made it. She's in love with me. Great. My work is over. I can get sloppy and revert back to the way I was. And that's what happens. He says, I'm on the verge of ending it because she isn't putting in the effort I want, but I also want to communicate with her about my needs without sounding burt. But it sounds like you are. And the fact that you're like, I'm going to punish her by ending it because she's not making the effort. The quickest way to get somebody else's attention is to remove yours. If she's not making the effort, stop texting her in the morning. Stop telling her you love her and this and that and gushing over her. If she's not doing the little things, it's like spend less time with her. Go out on less dates. Be busy when she wants to see you. He says, which I likely would have since I've already communicated these to her, but she has failed to correct the problem. Again, there is a lack of emotional motivation on her part towards you. And so just like you asked, that tells me, and based on what your email says, that there is a loss of attraction. And normal women are not going to have all these male orbiters, but she's in an industry where everybody wants to sleep with the hot girl that owns the gym or whatever. And she's just not ready. She doesn't feel the need to let the world know that she's off the market. She's letting the world know that she potentially is on the market still. And you complaining about it is not the way to fix it. I had an email last week, same thing. Guys complaining about things that have changed instead of looking at the fact that the power flipped. She backed off and he kept the hammer down. He kept moving forward. You got to match a mirror that women are kind of like cats. She needs to be, remember, it's a scientific fact that women are more attracted to men whose feelings are unclear. She's way too clear of where she stands with you. You've complained about what she isn't doing, and she says she'll make corrective changes, and she doesn't. Well, why wouldn't she do that? Because she ain't feeling it. She ain't feeling the desire. She's not worried about losing you. And you don't fix that by threatening her or I'm just going to end it. But I can tell you're butthurt and you're perturbed by it. And you want to use logic and reason to talk her into treating you the same way. Instead of taking a step back, have I done anything? Have I been too easy, too available? Have I been too soft? Have I let her get away with being disrespectful to me and in front of her or in front of other people? Have I gotten a little soft? But like I said, that line that she said, you're too good to me, that's indicative of you're such a nice guy. You're just too nice. You're too good for me. So you got to pay attention to, like I said, again, we got all these red flags. I'm plenty of dudes in the comments go, just dump her, kick her to the curb. It's, the red flags, you look at that and her behavior, you go, that doesn't look trustworthy. But if you're willing to give her the benefit of the doubt, like I said, the evidence that's in the email shows a loss of attraction. If that's the case, you got to start doing the things you stopped doing and maybe back off a little bit more. Again, like I said, this is everything that's in here tells me her attraction has dropped. And that tells me, and then her words are telling you that you're too soft. So if you got a question or challenge and you'd like to get my help, go to understandrelationships.com, click the products tab at the top of your screen, and book a coaching session with yours truly. Until next time, I will talk to you soon.